Hi. No matter what path we take in life, one thing is for certain. We grow older every day, and one day, hopefully from old age, we pass away. Now, while it's true that aging is a natural process, I do believe there are also many misconceptions about it in Western society. The common belief is something like this. In our 20s and 30s, we are young, healthy, and full of energy. We excel in sports and embrace life. However, as soon as we hit our 40s, things start going downhill. And by the time we reach our 60s, we often suffer from multiple Western diseases and are basically old and just living on borrowed time. But does it have to be this way? Do we have to grow weaker and weaker during the second part of our lives? Are we destined to be plagued by the likes of obesity, heart disease, and diabetes? Recent research is pointing in a different direction. This research shows that a life of disease and weakness is not hardwired in biology, but much rather a result of our choices in life. Now, in my previous video, I discussed how I beat my anxiety by taking a good look at the habits I formed over the years and changing them when necessary. I learned that a lot of what I took for granted had far more to do with the way I was living my life than some hardwired biological reality. So what if this is the same for aging? What if I have habits in my life that speed up the process of aging? And if I change those habits, can I slow down aging? Maybe even stop it? David Sinclair, a professor of molecular genetics at Harvard Medical School and one of the leading scientists in this field, is convinced that in time aging can be stopped and maybe even reversed. After more than 30 years of research on human biology, he found that aging has a specific pathology. Now this means that it can be treated like any other disease. In fact, aging is the common factor behind all sorts of diseases, from cancer to heart disease, Alzheimer, osteoporosis, making it the mother of all diseases, as Sinclair calls it. In his book, Lifespan, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to, David Sinclair explains that, from a pathological standpoint, there's no reason why aging could not be stopped or even reversed. Now today, human beings live longer than ever before, but we're plagued by physical impairment, frailty and disease in old age. There's no point in increasing lifespan without health span. The goal should definitely be to live longer while staying young and healthy. So let's take a look at why we age. Now scientists identify the following universal signs of aging, and this is quite a list, so bear with me. First up, genomic instability, telomere attrition, epigenetic changes, loss of proteostasis, deregulated nutrient sensing, mitochondrial dysfunction, altered intercellular communication, and the buildup of zombie-like cells that inflame healthy cells. Now it's quite a list, I know. But through years of research by Sinclair and his colleagues, they believe they have found the first unified theory of aging, so bringing all these things together. All the previous mentioned signs of aging happen because we lose epigenetic information over time. Okay, great. So what does that mean? Well, I'm no molecular scientist, but I will explain it in my own words. Our genome carries not only genetic information, which is encoded in our DNA, it also carries epigenetic information. Now, DNA can be seen as a digital form of information. It's always present and can be copied over and over and over. In contrast, epigenetic information is analog and degrades over time, making it prone to corruption. Like making a copy of a copy of a copy of, for those of us who are old enough, a cassette tape. Now, epigenetic changes alter gene activity without modifying the underlying DNA sequence. This process is different for every cell. A hair cell needs to behave differently than, for instance, a skin cell. Now, epigenetic information determines how a cell behaves. And since this information degrades over time, it becomes increasingly difficult to read the right information stored in our DNA. What's the result? The cell loses its identity, which in turn leads to poor cell function. Over time, the cell might lose its ability to function properly altogether, leading to various abnormal and potentially dangerous behaviors. Now we know our DNA information never changes because we can and have cloned young organisms from old DNA cells. Now this would not be possible if age corrupted the information in the DNA cell. So to stop aging, we have two choices. We can make the DNA information easier to read, or we can stop the decay of the epigenome. Now luckily we are starting to find out more and more ways to do this, and let me explain how. Every living organism has a so-called survival circuit, which is a pathway in the body that switches on when times are tough, such as when there's not enough food, when it's too cold or too hot, or during extreme physical strain. When this pathway is activated, cells stop dividing and growing, and instead they start to conserve energy and repairing damage. Now think of cells as little factories. During times of abundance, the good times, when there's abundant of supply of energy coming in every day, there's no room for repair or maintenance because the little factory, our cell, is running at 100% capacity. However, when supply starts to dwindle, bad times are here, the factory, our cell, frees up personnel for repair and maintenance and starts using up older supplies which it stored and never got around to using, fat and broken tissue. This process is called hormesis and is absolutely vital to keep our cells healthy and functioning the way they should, which in turn reduces the rate of aging. But here's the catch. Our comfortable Western lifestyles do not activate these pathways nearly often enough. When we're cold, we turn on the heat. When we're hot, we turn on the AC. We don't move enough and we eat far too often and far too much. So what can we do to activate these pathways? Well, right now we know of 5 ways to do this. First up is food or diet. Second is physical stress. Third is through drugs or supplements. The fourth is gene therapy. And the fifth would be genome sequencing or analytics. Now, since only the first 3 are in our control and I want to keep this video practical, I will focus on those. While there are countless studies to show the benefits of exercise and a good diet, we now also have evidence to show how these help to improve your lifespan and health span. Specifically, you can activate longevity pathways with good stress. If we want to improve our health through our diet, it's important to change how much, what and when we eat. Using a form of intermittent fasting is a good way to start. For instance, by not eating for 16 to 18 hours every day, your body will start the process of hormesis and begin repairing and cleaning up cells. If fasting is not your thing, then good old-fashioned caloric restriction works great too. Even if you do this only for 2 or 3 days a week. So on those days, instead of eating 2,500 calories, maybe you eat 2,000 or 1,800 calories. Now, a second way is applying the right physical stress to induce hormesis. There are several ways to achieve this, but the most effective is through physical activity or exercise. Now, to experience positive results, it is necessary, however, to engage in intense exercise that requires effort. So we're not talking about taking a relaxing stroll in the park. The exercise can involve relatively short but high intensity exercise or longer but medium intensity exercise. Another way to induce hormesis through physical activity would be taking cold plunges, such as ice baths, or taking a sauna. These methods also work, but they don't contribute to overall fitness. Therefore, exercise is likely to be the better option here. Now, the third way to activate the right pathway is through drugs or supplements. By ingesting certain molecules, we can create an environment in the body that triggers the right pathways. Examples of such molecules include rapamycin, metformin, fisetin, resveratrol, and then we have the NAD boosters like NR and MNN. That pathway is a little different, but the result is the same. Now, for most, not all, but for a lot of these molecules, there's a good body of research showing the positive effects they have on longevity. Some even have well-done double-blind human trials showing positive results. Now, I will revisit the topic of supplements and meds in a future video because it's kind of a rabbit hole to get into and it would take me at least another hour. It's better to dedicate an entire video to the topic. Moreover, and I know it's boring, but getting your sleep, exercise and diet right should absolutely be your first priority. Now, the question of whether it will be possible to halt or potentially even reverse the aging process in the future has been a topic of debate among scientists. While some, like Sinclair, are confident that this will be achieved, others remain skeptical. Despite this, there's a significant amount of research currently being conducted in this field, and it is very likely that this will result in a wealth of interesting discoveries in the not-too-distant future. It is important to note that many of us are unknowingly accelerating the aging process through our lifestyle choices. From the food we consume to the amount of exercise we engage in. Our everyday habits can have a significant impact on our overall health and well-being as we age. So, simple changes to our daily routine, such as incorporating a balanced diet and engaging in regular exercise, will have a profound impact on our ability to remain healthy and active well into our golden years. By taking proactive steps now towards maintaining our health, we could be better equipped to enjoy life to the fullest for longer than ever before. And with that, I will leave you. So that's it for me right now. I will be back with more content soon. I hope you enjoyed the video and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.